Hi guys, how's everyone doing? Today I'm gonna do a brief one-on-one topic discussion about leadership and how to develop leadership skills. If you already have leadership skills or you have used them previously for handling a project or a task at your work life, school life, or into your day-to-day life. So I'm gonna talk about leadership theories from back in the 1900s. When first leadership literature was getting developed and talked about a lot. So we have this topic of saying, are leaders born or are they made? So this is a huge debate about this topic. There's also saying about having and holding charisma. Is that natural or does that happen with development of your personality? So leadership has been talked about since the 1900s, early 1900s, that century. It's been over almost like 125 years. And obviously we had outdated theories in leadership studies, right? So that's what I'm going to try to clarify in this introduction video on leadership theories and which theories are kind of outdated in today's workplace setting or in today's environment to handle a task or in your day-to-day life. So leadership has a lot of models. So for example, leadership has a model of trait theory. Which traits do you possess? Do highly functional leaders possess that make them better above other leadership practitioners? So, for example, charisma, like I said, is a huge one. Contingency, like knowing and being aware of the situation and its context. Having to be an extrovert helps, but it's not necessary because there are also great introvert leaders that are quiet about their style, but they get the things done. And there's a thing which is which I call a phenomenon of quiet charisma. So like leaders that are introvert are also good leaders. You have to read this book. It's called Quiet. It's on introvert leaderships. So, anyways, going back to the century discussions, are leaders born or are they made? So, my saying is that there is a partial element of certain traits that can help you in your leadership setting and goals, but there's also an attitude of learning and applying and developing your skills. Um, don't tell me that Stephen Hawking wasn't capable of breaking down scientific theories because of his illness or his diagnosis. He was still doing highly intelligent work. So he developed that through resilience. So your life experiences can shape you to be a better leader. And especially when you have times when things aren't going your way, you have to show a lot of resilience. And how do you do that is to introspect, realize that things are temporarily happening and you can get better with acquiring more skills and pushing forward with the task and having a laser focus. So it's easier said than done. Like I was saying, leadership has a lot of models to apply to your life to reflect on your leadership style. I will talk about one model is called transformational leadership. So let's say you have a teacher and you did really bad on the first assignment. You got like 49% and it's required that you get a 50 to pass and move on to the next course in your first year in college or second year, right? So a teacher can help you gain that extra 1% to help you pass if you're to approach her with open communication. So communication is one skill that helps in leadership development. You told a teacher, hey, like I was having a sick day for the last week. I was under the weather. I couldn't focus on the assignment. Is there a way I can revise my assignment and get a better mark so I can pass this course? So you have opened this leadership challenge and an angle of communicating that with the teacher so you can pass the course and move on to the next level. So this is a trait that with a skill of having communication and having honest and open-ended communication with your hierarchy of the ones in command, like the teachers, the professors, the VP of management, the executives, the CFOs, the controllers, in accounting and finance, and so on in your hierarchy of structure. So understanding the hierarchy of structure, that brings me to my next theory of leadership. Is leadership like a top-down command? Like if I'm the president of Canada or Denmark, would I say something and my followers would just follow me right away? Like, or would they have a followership relationship back and forth so they can understand what I'm saying? So if we look at the obviously arrogant president, Donald Trump is saying he wants to buy Greenland. And in his childish brain, he says one thing, he can do it and he can obtain it. Like that's how he's been raised. He had a privileged life with lots of money, billionaire status. Anything he thinks is like a toy. He can say it and he can get it and he can reluctantly use it and just move on to the next toy or the next policy or the next thing, right? So leadership approach, it doesn't work like that. Your followers have a relationship with you back. So they understand they're also critical of your steps, right? They're also critical of your decisions. So it's not always an authoritative dictatorship, like top down. I say something, the people follow and command, my command must be followed until there's a war that I'm gonna claim next, right? Like that's not how leaders work. Like that's one misconception of leadership, that it's a heroic moment. Like the leader has to save the day and has to do something right away to do that, right? That's not like that. That's a zombie leadership theory mindset that has been claimed and tested to be outdated. It doesn't work in today's context. If I tell a group of classroom that I'm teaching math to that 1 + 1 is actually 2.5, it's not 2, they will laugh at me, right? Like they're sensitive followers these days. So back in the day, like Hitler was a leader. He used authoritative leader and fascism to destroy a nation, right? Like that was unfair to the Jewish people, right? So he used that approach and people blindly followed him, right? Whereas in today's day, if I tell 1 + 1 is not 3, it's 2, people will believe the truth, right? They see the lens where you're coming from because people are becoming more knowledgeable and educated and sensible to the environment, and they have more awareness because of the technologies and media systems that we have, from social media to let's not talk about fake news right now, because fake news is another topic of misinformation and who's actually what China is doing now, that they're validating who's an expert in their field, who has studied and practiced it. That's good enough to present that to YouTube and stuff like that, right? So I'd say like leadership is a challenging concept, but you can develop that skill. You can develop it through resilience, through open communication, through building charisma, through looking after your followers, through doing a systematic approach in your workplace, through not relying on deadlines at the end, last minute to submit all your work, through relying on teams and building systems so the whole team gets the work done, not just you. This brings me to the second outdated theory, also known as zombie leadership theories, that one leader is heroic enough to save the company as a CEO or the head of finance to save that. It's not like that. It's a team setting. It's team gets the task done together. Leader is there to get the same task done within the team setting. It just has a direction, more strategic positioning for the leader. And he has a lot more experience. He's been in the technical role. He's been in that bookkeeping job. He's been in that sales role. He's just mentoring you right now, right? So that's called improvised leadership, where you have a one-on-one relationship with improvised leadership, right? But improvised leadership has a subcategory. It has an in group and it has an out group. In group is like people that can talk freshly and like without filter to the boss and be like available for whatever reason he needs it, right? Like his car breaks down, he's not able to get a hold of his son or daughter or wife. He calls you, can you help? Yeah, like sure, I'll come help you, right? So that person would be in the in subgroup of that leader's vision or like his positioning of how he sees that person. But you don't have to be in the in group. You can choose to be in the out group. Out group is like laid back. I do my work. I go home. No questions asked. My work is enough for me to position myself in the company. I don't have to do extra. I don't have to talk a lot to be noticed. Stuff like that. So there's pros and cons of in groups and out groups. Subcategory under improvised leadership. And we'll talk more about that. But what I want you to do now is reflect on your own leadership style. Think about the situations that you could have handled better. Think about a project that fell apart and the reason why it fell apart. Was it because you didn't practice enough math? Was it because you don't know marketing to sell your product? Was it because you didn't research enough? Was it because you don't understand the theory about the topic? So conceptualize the setting of your environment, right? Like that's how you become better. Set a system, like where did I fail? How can I improve that failure to turn into a success in my next project, right? So leadership is a self and reflective analysis. So definitely don't believe that totally that leaders are born leaders. There is an analysis power that happens with people that want to grow and learn to be better through resilience, adaptability, communication, charisma, likability, outgoing ability, trying different things after failure, picking yourself up, keeping yourself healthy, talking with respect, having boundaries. So I will stop this leadership introduction on theories from the 19th century and keep debunking in my next leadership episode of how I can deeply go down into more theories of leadership that you can become reflective of in your own life and apply that to your situation, your work setting, your life, your relationship, whatever you may, right? Whatever floats your boat. Anyways, arios super Ferran, arios amigos, hasta la vista, baby.